Pam, you're on live. Just hold on. Hold what you got.
And we're here to let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Oh, come on, let's talk about it. Yeah. Come on, let's talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Come on and talk about
Hello, 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 people. Welcome to Let's Talk About It. Today we will have a part 2 discussion from last week. It is time to move forward with our fabulous panel. So I would like to introduce at this time, I am Dr. Pamela Hill from Fredericksburg, Virginia, and I would like to introduce the rest of my panel. Dr. Suzette Robinson.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk About It Tuesday. I am Dr. Suzette Robinson from the wonderful state of Alabama and the city of Birmingham. Glad to be here tonight, Dr. Pam.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And next, I would like to introduce Marguerite Moulton.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marguerite Moulton, the owner of a Moore Studio here in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
All right, and last but not least, my favorite person in the world, Dr. Rashad Broadnex.
Got to be here. Right. Is he?
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Hello.
My name is Dr. Rashawn Broadnex, and I'm here in the Washington, D.C. area. I am so happy to be with you guys this evening. And back to you, Dr. Pam.
All right. Well, we are actually continuing our conversation that we had last week. It's time to move forward. It's time to move forward can mean so many different things, not just within business and personal relationships. It can be so many things. And a lot of times we get stagnant because we are afraid to move forward. I was one of the people. It was never the right time for me to do this. It was never the right time for me to do that. Never enough money. Not ready. Don't have a big enough team. So I was always making excuses. And you have to stop making excuses because a lot of times you close your blessings off. It took me a long time to actually understand that. I've had people come to me like, that was interested in me having a salon or different things. But I was just like, nah, I don't want nobody giving me anything. I don't want that over my head. Once you start making money, you got to, I got to pay this person this and pay. I was just that type of person. I'm like, nah, go ahead. I struggle. I get it. When it's time for me, it's time for me. And it took a long time to understand that every time somebody offers you something, don't mean that they're really looking for it back.
Yeah.
That took me a long time because I was always like, okay, if you was given something, they looking for that or more in return. And sometimes that's the case and sometimes it's not the case. So I had to actually take a step forward and jump out there on faith to actually move forward. If I did not, I would still be stuck where I was maybe about 15, 20 years ago, if I did not take that leap of faith. So I would like to ask the question, when did you know it was time for you to actually take that leap and move forward? And it could be personal, business, relationship-wise, but just what made you take that step? Like, okay, you know what? It's time to move forward. Enough is enough. I need to make a change.
That's a good question.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say for me, and knowing that it was time to take the leap of faith and moving forward is when I was trying everything I could possibly try, and it wasn't working out for me. So therefore, I had to go in a different route and just trust the fact that God is gonna do what He said He was gonna do.
Okay.
And so that kind of helped push me along the way to be able to move forward and doing what it is that I need to do for me in my life. And then other cases where I tried so many different things, but it wasn't working. So I had to get back to what it is that I had the desire to do and moving forward. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I just had to trust the process.
That's good.
So I want to add something to it. Is it easy to move forward when you have maybe friends or family in your ear tell you, oh, I wouldn't do that just now? That, they're always the naysayers, as what they call it. Or, and I don't want to say envious or anything, but I would just say naysayers. You have that group of people that be like, oh, nah, you shouldn't do that just now. Girl, why are you doing that? No, don't do that. How do you deal with that? How you move forward from that?
That's good. I just want to say a little bit. I ain't got a lot to say, but I'm gonna say this. This is so good because today I had to go and I've looked at several spaces. So I'm still moving forward, you guys, okay? So I had a lot on my mind, like Pam said earlier, is when is a good time? Am I gonna be able to make it? All that works in your mind. But because I've tried so many times, I don't like not trying because I don't know if I can or I can't. All the way, you got to try it. And Pam, you're right. You're gonna have always, I don't care how big you get in your business or how your business grow, you're gonna always have naysayers, always. But in my opinion, naysayers help me move forward because ultimately, regardless of what they say, how they feel, you know what you carry on the inside. So I mean, my first thought was, oh, this pandemic, it slowed me down. Now I got to try to figure out. But to be honest, it didn't slow me down. It pushed me and thrust me to do something else. Now here I am, and I got this big account, and now I got to have a real nice office space. So here I am again, Pam, you guys, Dr. B saying, am I gonna be able to afford it? I don't want to, and all those things play in your mind. And I said that to say this, I don't care how big your business get, how it grows, you still gonna have those what if moments. So Pam, what you asked was really good because I decided to move away from the naysayers because they do play a big part in your decision making because they can sing in your ear so long. But you have to make up in your mind when it's time to move. Now, my time to move, because I done got crowded and I'm forced to move. I'm forced to move now. So it is a scary thing, but like Marguerite said, I just have to trust the process and growing, you're gonna move. You're gonna move. You're gonna move when you don't feel like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it or whatever, but you don't know none of that. So you won't know until you try. So I like the question that you just posed. And I would encourage anybody that's listening to us, that's thinking about their business or whatever. We're telling you, these are things we have gone through. And I'm telling you, these are things I'm still going through. Okay. But only way you're going to know, you just got to step out there and get rid of the naysayers. I don't care if they family member, cuz I don't care. And it's always somebody close to you.
Mhm.
You know what you believing for. Sometimes it's best to just keep your thoughts to yourself. And so you have to move in silence.
Yes.
But that's what I said last week. I think I left off with sometimes the door, sometimes life closes the door because it's time to move forward. And that a good thing. Wait a minute, let me make sure I get okay. Sometimes life closes doors because it's time to move forward. And that's a good thing because we often won't move unless circumstances force us to.
Exactly.
And that was one of my situations of I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go into a little sweet and I'm gonna be good. And but that's not what was meant for me. You know, I'm like, okay, this will be perfect. But you know, every month it was an issue. It was an issue. It was an issue. No matter what or who came and fit. I'm like, okay, what in the world? Until it was just like, okay, enough was enough. I had to take that leap out and let go. And once I let go, doors started open. I was just like, okay, it's not as bad. You know, sometimes we think letting go that we're gonna fail or get hurt or something's gonna happen, and that's not always the case. But sometimes you have to go through those bumps and, you know, bumps in the road to actually get to where you need to be. Because I was one of those, I'm like, I'm holding on tight. Nope, I ain't ready. Not hurting me. I'm not ready. And I had to finally like, okay, you know what? Let me just let go. So we definitely have to take that risk to actually just sometimes just let go. Yeah. And just, you know, just go from there.
Dr. B, what you think about it? I mean, you know, I know it's just a lot, and all of us have different levels of different things that we've gone through or that we're going through. And I just really want the audience to understand, we're not talking about, hey, we done arrived and everything.
Wow, no.
Hunky-dory.
Don't go out there jumping too far now.
We're saying, hey, we still have some growing to do, and we still have some things that we have to face. So Dr. B, I know you can tell us something because your plate is full, you know? Talk to us.
Well, right now, you know, I'm listening to what everybody's saying. I'm like, oh my goodness, these things are so true. So first I'll start with like the naysayers. I know in my life, like I mentioned last week, sometimes you have to have a small circle, and as your circle grows, sometimes you have to get rid of some of those people. And so what I would encourage is when you have people that say nay, you kind of be cautious as to why they're doing it, right? Are they doing it because something is not working for them, you know, or are they doing it because they earnestly are looking out for your best interest? So what I try to find is for people who can say nay to me, but also be able to say, well, this is why, you know, or, you know, I don't necessarily agree with what you're deciding to do, but I'm going to support you in the best way that I can. That's the nay that I'm willing to go with, right? Because I know that even still, even though you don't quite agree, you're going to support me in my decision and try to help me work it through as best as I possibly can. So to me, that is the best naysayer that you can have. Any other type of naysayer, you definitely need to get them gone. And then, you know, as far as moving forward, like Pam said, sometimes doors have to close. And that's a situation that I'm going through. I've actually been going through for a few years now with a job that I absolutely loved. But I really wasn't 100% happy because I wasn't happy with how things were working. And I know I had talked to a couple of people trying to figure out what could I do to make things different. And then what came to me at all ends of those roads were there's nothing more that you can do because you're not in control. But still, I held on to it until the door was closed for me. So I was very upset that the door was closed, but did not quite understand or take it that that was God saying, you asked to move forward. You need to let go of what you can't deal with or what you can't help
That's
and just
good.
move forward, right?
That's good, B.
So, and then you go through that moment of trepidation where you're like, okay, this is, I don't know what I'm going to do, you know, all that kind of those thoughts. And then I'll say, like, personally, 2 years after walking in the faith, praying and knowing that, like Marguerite said, he will do what he said he's going to do, that the doors are now starting to open. The doors that I have been praying for years have now started to open. So it's not always in our time, but it's definitely in God's time and the time that's right for us. And so we have to be prepared. Sometimes we can't just jump out there, but sometimes we need that moment of preparation before we could take those moves. And I think that's what people have to kind of think about and hold on to is when you're ready to make the move, things will start to shift for you. They may not shift right into where you think that they should be, but they will start to shift, and you just have to start preparing yourself to be where you say you want to be.
That is so good.
That's my my input on that.
I want to read, can I read something one of our listeners, because the caller is on now, but caller, just give me a minute and I'm just going to read this because I thought this was so cool. And I'm trying to read, I ain't got no glasses on, but y'all give me a minute. Let me get my glasses. It dawned on me I didn't have them on. Listen to this. This is from a person that's listening and enjoying this. She's laughing at me because I had to go find my glasses. Okay. She said, hold on, I gotta go to the one I really like. She said, so you move strategically. Don't tell the naysayers. Sometimes you can tell only God and God alone, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how, and y'all, I'm just gonna tell on myself, I like to share a lot. And probably I don't use a lot of wisdom or haven't used a lot of wisdom. Don't get it twisted. So don't think I'm finna tell you something now because I know better. I just don't put that out there. But I mean, you be so excited about things that you have and you just kind of want to just tell. Well. I learned better. And you're right, Monrose, you're right. There are times when you have to move in a strategic formation. And sometimes I don't share, you can't even share with your family right off. There are some things you don't need to tell. You just need to. And then you know what? Like right now, I'm getting ready. I'm going to move into this building. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I have moved in different ones and things have happened. But one thing you say about Suzette Robinson, she's not afraid to try. And I think that's what has gotten me where I am today. Because if I kept, when I failed the first time, so I thought I failed, you know, I was devastated, Dr. Pam. Marguerite, I call Marguerite Moore, so if you hear that, I'm talking to her. But I was devastated and I felt like a failure. But nobody really knew how bad I felt but me and my husband. But I tried it again. I got back up and I tried to ride it again. I fell a little harder the second time, but it wasn't enough to keep me down. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So there are things I learned on that. Now, you said third time is a charm. Well, I done shut my mouth so nobody knows where I'm going and what I'm doing. You're just going to see me there. Amen. So, you know, you learn as you go, but I like what Monroe said. There are times that we just have to be silent. And Pam said last week, she said, we got to move in silence. There are
Mhm.
things, and we talk a lot of biblical talk, but there are things that Jesus has showed us. There are things he didn't even say. He just did
Mhm.
it. Okay. So with that being said, I see Carmelita's on the line. Hey, Carmelita. Tan, thank y'all for tuning in. I really mean that. I know y'all like on CP time, tune in. I'm just being funny, but we glad that you did. So we have a caller on the line, and Pam and Marguerite and Dr. B. I remember last week this caller had some very interesting questions. Okay, so we're gonna allow her at this point to. Hello, Erica.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm good. How's
Erica.
everybody doing? Hi.
Good.
This
Good.
caller is calling us from California,
Mhm.
and tell us what's going on. What are the questions that you would like to get answered from this panel?
Okay,
Because,
so
oh, hold on, wait a minute. You real quick too. Remember our topic is it's time to move forward. Okay, now you can talk, Erica.
okay. So first off, let me say when I ask questions for everybody who's listening, because I'm also new. So these are questions that's just not helpful for me to get answers to, but it's also helpful for other people because I might be asking something y'all want to know.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the first question is, what would be some advice to give someone who wants to be in the hair industry, whether it's cosmetology, trichology, barbering, etc., but they are not passionate about it, they just want the profit from it?
Oh, that's good. Who
What I will say, I'll start off. It's really kind of hard to be somewhere that you're not passionate about because you're not going to give your all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of you wasting time that you can't get back, and you just there for a paycheck. And you're not going to prosper. You're going to get burnt out real quick. In my experience, because you're doing something that you think there's going to be quick money. Quick money is not always good money.
Mhm.
So you have to change the thought process of, okay, the hair industry, depending on no matter what you're doing, is if it's hair, aesthetics, nails, it's pretty much $1 million industry. So you just going in it, just chasing the paper, you're going to get really burnt out to where you're not going to really actually see a profit.
Mm.
So I would encourage her to maybe find something that she would like getting up going to do. Because if you getting up like, oh, I got to go in here, but you know what, I'm gonna make this $1,000 today, but I really don't feel like going in here. When you're going in with the attitude, you're not going to give your best. It's always going to be a lack somewhere, either with having the customer service skills or you doing the service, or it's going to be something too that's going to be lacking because you really don't want to be there. So when you don't want to be somewhere, you're not going to give your all. So my advice to her was maybe, take a step back and try to figure out exactly what she might or he might like doing every day, getting up, being happy, getting dressed and driving to work. And, you're not like, oh, let me go get this caffeine shot or, something just to get through these 8 hours. You don't want to live that way because, again, you're going to be burnt out easily. So I definitely would tell her to take a step back and maybe rethink something that she might like to do.
That's good. That's good. I want to say, go ahead, Dr. B. Hit it.
I always come with the monkey wrench, right?
Oh my God, where's the fan? Where is the fan?
I was waiting.
So I was just going to ask, in follow up to what Pam said, do you think it's possible that the money could be the catalyst, but the passion could come in through the learning?
Okay. Everybody do this.
That's
Mm.
definitely
And the reason why I say that is because that's kind of the story that I had. Like I share with people that the beauty industry has been very good to me and I'm so grateful for it, but it was not something that I was looking for at
Yeah.
all.
Mhm.
It's something that I happened to kind of trip on when I moved here to this area. I spent almost a year here and did not know anybody and tried to figure out how could I meet people without going to
Going to the
bars,
club.
clubs and things like that. So I said, well, if you go to school, um everybody's on the same level per se. I didn't know that when you go to beauty school, everybody is not on the same level. It still didn't dawn on me that there was people that had been playing with hair and doing hair and all this stuff many, many years before. But that was my idea, so I went to beauty school and I met amazing people. And that's where my passion grew. But my thought going in, and the beauty school that I went to, we had to write an essay before we got there as part of our application process. Why did we want to do this?
That's good.
And the ironic thing for me was in my essay, it basically said that my career had always been in the administrative executive or the administrative corporate world. And that's what my love was. That's really where I've devoted all my energy and my education to prior to. And I wanted to do this, yes, so that I could broaden my horizon. And I wanted to always have something to fall back on if for any reason I was unable to work. I could have something that I could control and do myself, right? And
Mhm.
so with that, going to school, starting to learn, and when I'm a person that really likes to learn, so the learning process was amazing for me, and I was like, okay, now the passion is starting to grow, and the more I found out about the industry, the more that I touched. When I realized there was so much more beyond the chair, I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Then when I started barbering, I was like, oh my goodness, I would have never thought about this. Then when we got into hair loss, it was like, oh my goodness, you got into. So that's where the passion started to grow afterwards. But the
Passion,
initial
yeah.
catalyst for me, the thought was, you want to have something that can give you kind of a fallback. So I would say, not disagreeing with Pam, because I think your point is very valid. But sometimes a person may start with one thought in mind, but a passion may grow from it.
Okay.
But I also believe that this was part of what was ordained for my life. So that's the other thing.
That's good. I thought you were gonna throw a real rich at us, boy.
right. No, I'm like, I'm waiting. I'm
You
waiting.
know, he
No,
can.
it was just a little rich.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I would like to say something. So I get what everybody is saying. I understand what everybody's saying. So this is what I want to share with you guys. I thought that it was a time, and I've been doing this thing for a very, very long time. It was a time when I felt like it had got to a point where I felt like I wasn't I thought hair was my passion, right? And then I felt like because I wasn't making, I wasn't making ends meet, right? Doing what I love to do, because I love to do it. But I thought in my mind, this must not be what God wants me to do, right? And so every time I thought about doing something different, a different job, trying to venture out something else, God knocked me down and brought me back to this place.
Mhm.
So the fact that I loved it and I had a passion for it, but wasn't making ends meet, I felt like it wasn't for me. But to come to the realization, this is my gift. This is my passion. This is what I love. And so I can't come in here in a different mindset. And I'm not coming in here looking for the finances is good. Don't get me wrong. But that's not my first thought. My
Okay.
first thought is the first thought is love. And that's why I named my business Amore, because Amore means love. This is what I love to do. And so that right there, to go back to, the caller and saying that, the money part, looking at the money part, You can't go in there looking at the money part, point blank, period. If it's not your passion, you already know what you're passionate about. You already know what your passion, what's inside of you. You already know that. It's been nugging you. And a lot of times we don't look at it. We kind of bypass it because this is what we want to do, because we want to go in there and make money. You know what I'm saying? That's with any given job.
That's
But
good.
you can't look at it like that, going in there for the money part. I just can't. I can't look at the fact that coming here for the money part. I'm looking at the fact that the money is good. The money is gonna come. If you're doing what it is that you're supposed to do in life, the money is gonna come in any given job. So you have to sit back sometimes and go through the waiting period. You have to go through it's a waiting period. For with any given thing, it's a waiting period. So a lot of times, when the kids first come out of high school, they don't know what they want to do. We didn't know what we want to do when we got out of high school, but it was all in the waiting period. It was in the processing time. And so I just wanted to share that, because on both sides, just trying to get another job to help in this side, because I wasn't making enough to make ends meet. So I had to get other jobs, but my passion wasn't there.
Yeah.
It wasn't there. So I just wanted to add that on to the conversation and the question piece.
Well, Erica, I hope that answered your question. Dr. Susan, you have something to say?
And listen, Erica, this is something one of the viewers is looking at. I love reading y'all comments, and I try to comment and say something as we're online to let you know we are paying attention. But this is what I love. It says, this is what I got out of reading a person's response. We got to always, the passion will lead to your purpose. You may not know what your purpose is when you first start. I like that or more, because you're right. And a lot of times we don't know. When I got out of school, God knows I was going to school for nursing. Okay. Until I realized what I had to do for a deceased body. And that just took me out the game, right? So I was one of those people that didn't have a plan. I really didn't have a plan. So I stumbled into cosmetology school with my sister-in-law. I was not going in there for myself. And I'm thinking, shoot, how could I go wrong with doing hair? I had no idea. It was so much I had to learn. But I didn't have a passion from the beginning. I didn't get the passion until I got into the flow of what I was doing. And like Dr. B says, I started out, I couldn't keep a roller on a mannequin's head. So if I couldn't keep put the magnetic roller on a mannequin's head, there was no way I was going to put it on a human's head. So I was defeated right there, but then I kept trying and I kept trying. So yes, that's a true statement. You may not get it right off. It's as you do it, as you develop. And then I found all these other areas that we can grow in. And Dr. B, you're right. It opened my eyes up like this. What? I had never heard of a trichologist in my life. I didn't even know the professional term for, I thought it was just hairdresser, beautician. No, it's cosmetologist. And so as we grow and develop, I developed a passion as I went on. So continue to put your comments in here. I'm gonna read, hey, hello, Odessa. Odessa, we'd like to hear from you too. Erica, I know you got something else for us. What is it?
Yes. So the next one is, how do you handle an encounter with a client that has schizophrenia or bipolar disorder during one of their episodes in your chair?
OMG. No, you did.
Okay. So I had this happen to where I actually had to have the caregiver or mother, either one at that time, make sure that they were there. but it was a certain time that they needed to come, you know. In my experience, the one that I was dealing with, it was like certain times, like it couldn't be too long. You couldn't do something for them to be in your chair for a long period of time. You know, it just depends on what level, you know, it was, you know, because they talk, they grab, they do a lot. So one of those, you got to get them in and get them out, but you have to make sure that you have a caregiver with them at all times, because
That's good.
any little thing, if it's too many people, anything can trigger
Yeah.
to where you want to make sure you safe and you want to keep them safe. So I always made sure that they came early in the morning, and I would get them in and get them out, and it would be nobody else, you know, pretty much, you know, around. Because a lot of times when you have too much movement, too much going on, it'll trigger, you know, them to lash out or, you know, do something that knowingly, you know, trying to hurt you, but, you know, mentally it happens. So definitely have somebody with them.
That's a
I
great.
want to.
Go ahead, Amor.
I raised my hand. I just want to say, because I have a lady that comes in and she has her episodes, and I just talks to her. I redirect. I assure her. I make the atmosphere calm for her. I kind of calm her spirit and encourage her in a whole different redirection. I redirect her from what it is that she's dealing with, to assure her that it's going to be okay. Just take your time, you know. So, I mean, it's just all in knowing, you know, really what to do. We are in service, and we have encountered several different people, different type of people, different types of attitudes and things of that nature. But, you know, you just got to know, you know, you just got to know your client. You just got to know your client and what, you know, what you can do to kind of come and redirect the spirit, you know. So that's what I do. That's how I handle my client, by redirecting her. And she get itsy sometimes. She get itsy. When you said my appointment was such and such a time.
Oh yeah,
you know, she get itsy, but she haven't been in a place where she's aggressive. She just, you know, especially when it comes down to like a style, you know, and she chose this and then she don't like it, you know. So I just redirect her, just wait for a little while, then we'll try something else or whatever, you know. Sometimes I had to take the hair out and she go get more hair, and we come back and we do something else if the time permits. But you know your client.
Yeah, and sometimes too, it's a safe haven for them too, coming to the salon. A lot of times it's out, you know, something for them to look forward to where they know that they feel comfortable, you know, as well. Because we have a few of them. And I mean, she's not a little girl, but she's a young woman. But it's the same thing. She'll get in there, she get to talking. And it's funny sometimes because, you know, when I had Mel Barber in there, she would always talk to him and just smile. When I say light up, just light up. So I always made sure he was there because I knew that kept her calm, you know, as well. And just light up. And anytime he'd say something, she'd just go to laughing. It don't have to be anything funny. But we all knew. So it's a safe place. Sometimes it's a safe place. If you make it comfortable for them, they'll remember going there, that they're safe. You know, so I hope that answer, it'll help you.
So the moral to that story is always have a man in your salon. Oh, Dr. Subet, you are on mute.
Were y'all reading my lips?
I was trying to. You were moving too fast.
We have another caller that's trying to get in. But certainly, we like when you all share your time and your stories with us because it helps what we do come to life. So you know what? The most important questions are those questions that have never been asked.
Mhm.
And there are no questions that are way out there in left field, because if you don't know, you just don't know.
Oh no.
And I like something that the caller said, was asking about these people. You know what? And this is something we need to be aware of.
Right.
When you have people, your client's trying to call in. I'm on the line, I'll call you back. I'm on the line, I'll call you back. But you know, that's a good thing about it, because you're gonna meet people with disabilities.
Mhm.
And I'm glad this is brought up. Think about this. This is why we got to keep moving forward. Education is most important for the professionals, those that are looking to become professionals. Sometimes people look at where we are and think that's it. We have to continue to be educated, because we will get people in there that have disabilities. You have to have patience for people that are in wheelchairs, or you have to assist them from the chair to the shampoo bowl. You've got to have a compassionate heart in any business, because I've seen people in the grocery stores, in department stores, they just don't have patience with people. They don't want to understand mental illness and stuff. We deal with that on the regular. Some people don't know they have a problem, but they do. And you have to know how to be compassionate and how to handle them. I like the fact that Dr. B said, yes, you do need a meal. Because listen, I've taught and I've had a student, well, some kids outside playing. And one particular little boy, who parents don't tell you everything, just like people don't. When they come in to get service, Erica and Marguerite, they don't tell us everything. They give us a little bit, or they drop one of their children off, and you don't know this child have seizures. It's a lot you learn as you go. But however, you have to be equipped on all levels. That's why when it's time to keep it moving, you cannot stay where you are. You cannot remain in that place and grow. It's not going to happen. You've got to take the initiative to learn more, to do more. You know, this is why continuing education is very important. I was looking for the caller, but I think he may be next week. But I see your hand, Miss Moore.
I want to say that, you know what? Everybody is not, we all have gifts, and everybody's not in the serving business. So because, sometimes you be at places and they serve in restaurants and things of that nature, right? But they're got an attitude, they mad about something. That's not everybody's gift.
Right.
In the field that we are in service, because we're gonna meet people, we're gonna greet people, we are in service. So if you feel like service is not your pet peeve or whatever it is, you don't like dealing with people, you should not be in this line of business.
That's right.
Point blank, period. Because we are serving. So we have to do everything that we possibly can do to be able to deal with different types of people and different types of attitude. And that's when you know that this is our gift. We are in the right field in service. And when we know how to handle those complicated clients and, people, just period. Because we have them. We have them. So I just wanted to add that little bit.
That's good. And
Okay, Erica. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. And we're going to have people in this. And let me tell you, since you're on your caller, I know some things are overwhelming that you hear, that you even see. But when you're starting business, and I learned this today dealing with going to look at a building, lady called me today, I don't have that gift of being a visionary to see what it can be. I pretty much want to see what it is when I get there. So I'm honest, I'm gonna tell the truth. Now my husband, he can look at something and say, oh yeah, we can do this. I don't see none of that. I really don't. So I tried to have an open mind, but I was listening to her. And she was really floored about what my job consists of. Not my job, but my work, because I don't have a job. My work
Yeah,
is,
for real.
this is my work. So when I was telling her, sometimes hearing yourself talk about what you do opens a doorway to you to do better
Yes.
in what you're doing. And talking to her today had me doing like this. So
Right.
we learn as we go. We're not going to have it all capitalized at one time, but it's going to come. I see that my caller has made their arrival. Caller, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Okay, so you have heard what our topic is, which is
It is time to move forward.
now you know I want to change the name every time I talk. It's time to move forward. What's on your mind, caller?
I'm just calling from a perspective to see. I'm in the transition of wanting to own my own business, and I really like the barbering side. But from listening to what you all been saying, it seems to me like I still need to learn more about just like hair and the health of the scalp in general. So, I just want to know from a male's perspective, what would be the best route to take when it comes to trying to not just understand how to cut and, make different styles of the hair, but how to actually treat the scalp, because nobody's scalp is the same. So you just can't go in doing the same thing. So I want to know what's the best, like what would be the best suggestion that you all would have to tell me as far as like trying to do things the right way.
Education. Is
Dr.
you
Yeah.
to me, you can never get enough education, no matter what. I've been in the industry over 25 years now, and I'm still eager to learn because things changes. And it's just what you said just there. Nobody's scalp is the same. And even with barbering, y'all deal with it a lot as well as trichologists, because for the simple fact is y'all cut and men get their hair cut pretty much weekly. And a lot of times, they might travel or go somewhere else and get their hair cut. And a lot of barbers don't keep their clippers clean and start causing, scalp irritations and different things to the scalp. So it would be good for you to be educated, not only to add another service to your business, but to also be able to treat what the issue is and not send them out the door. So it's definitely good to keep educating yourself, no matter how long you've been licensed, no matter how long you had your business, somebody else can teach you something that you probably do know, but you can do it a different way.
That's good. What about you, Dr. B?
I want to make sure that I have the question correct. So you said you are a barber currently and you are wanting to know, state your question for me again, please.
As a barber, listening to the information that I'm getting
We got a little bit.
you guys, it's like a necessity to know deeper detail of the scalp instead of just learning what you previously know as far as from barber. I'm just speaking to see what you guys do, two different things. But I feel like what you guys are doing is kind of like a necessity that we need to know as far as a barber, what will be some things that you can further along teach me to kind of take what I'm doing to the next level.
Okay, so and like Pam said, I would definitely say the education, but in addition to that, figure out different things that you may have an interest in. Like myself, I started out as a cosmetologist. I added on barbering services, really with the mindset of when there are lull periods in the industry or throughout the year for me, say like summertime when a lot of women may not come to the salon to get their hair, they transition into protective styles. So my income decreases. I was thinking, what can I add to kind of balance that back out? I became a barber. Then as I started barbering more, I started seeing various scalp maladies and things. So I said, okay, now I want to transition into more being able to identify these maladies and figure out what can treat them. So it was like one thing flowed into the next for me. And that's when I really started to study more about the hair and the scalp. From then I started noticing, okay, more so as a barber again, a lot of men are losing their hair. We often talk about female hair loss, but we know that a lot of guys lose their hair. And the first thing that we do is we'll say, we'll just cut it off. We're going to wear bald head, right?
That's
So
why I
with
was
that,
getting to.
with that, I started doing the cranial prosthetics for men, and then also looking at, you know, other little services that can give men the illusion of hair without actually having hair. So it was like one thing flowed into the next, but it did all start with the education. Once I figured out this is what these things are, this is how I can address them, then it started to build with other services that I could provide to also add on to that. So I would definitely say start with your education and it will increase from that point.
All right. I appreciate that information.
Sure.
You know, I really appreciate you all taking the time to call in to even just inquire from the professionals. I'm sure just talking to you all, even the panel, there are things that we can take from this conversation that we can use in all of our lives, all of our businesses. And certainly, if you're considering professionals that are listening, those that are thinking about getting into this profession, surely if you're thinking about furthering your education or adding on to your cosmetology business, certainly, definitely get in touch with us. We have online classes that we offer. And even down to the part where he was talking to the barber about learning how to do the prosthetics for the men, the beards and all of that. Certainly, Dr. B is an expert in that area. Dr. Pam, myself, and Amor, we're here because we're certainly board certified and covered to help you. We can even help you with getting the education and the certification that you would need to further your education. Education is the key to success. It really is. Without it, you're going to remain wherever you stop learning, that's where you're going to stay. But if you're that person that want to expand your education, learn more about what you can do in your business, certainly, please inbox us. Once again, this has been a great topic, one that I want to take time out and thank these callers for calling in. And listen, if there is any topics that's within our scope that we can talk about, certainly send it to us. We'll get material, we'll talk about it, try to help you get the answers to it. This is why Let's Talk About It Tuesday exists. We exist to help those that are looking for answers. I want to take time out again. I am Dr. Robinson, and I want to thank our sponsors, which is Isabella Graphics, which also consists of Platinum Beauty Supply Stores, Pretty Gloss Princess. Lord, I was going to mess her name up.
Lip gloss.
Pretty Gloss. And let me just put some lip gloss on because I messed that up real bad.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I want to thank one of our biggest supporters and who is always making sure things are done to help us promote our information. And that's from Kingdom Dominion Worship Ministries, where Pastor Donnie Robinson is the pastor. He's also our person that makes sure our name, our bios, how you can contact us is in there. He makes sure that's done. And we could not do what we're doing without his help. And so we want to say thanks to him. So, and to all of our businesses, all of these businesses that you see on this platform, we support each other. We really do. So if you are in either one of our states and you're looking to expand your education or to build a business that will last throughout eternity, certainly get in touch with us. Once again, we can be reached through P2P information7@gmail.com. That's for your questions and comments, okay? If you're looking for school, you can go through our online classes, which is, you can send it to P2P certification@gmail.com. And you can get in touch with us. We're ready to service you, or go to the website, wigsbysuzette.com. On there is a drop-down window dealing with our education department. And we, on this platform, someone will get in touch with you and get you ready for the education that will take you into the next century. It is our pleasure. We're going to say goodnight to you all for now. But next week, we're going to come back with a powerhouse topic. Check us out also on YouTube, P2P BHAM. Check us out and make our numbers go up, because our numbers are not as big as they need to be. And that's because you hadn't hit that bell. You haven't subscribed. So let's make that happen. If you really love us, I love the hearts you sent up, but I need you to go over to YouTube and make that happen. Thank you so very much. We're going to say goodnight to you. Live.